It's here with Ronnie Newton, weehaw.com, or as the governor likes to say, weehaw. We are live. We're going to talk a little bit about the weather. We may talk a little bit about the Jets because I'm sitting here refreshing Twitter every 10 seconds to see if the Jets have a major announcement regarding their QB position. And while I'm killing time here, Ronnie is going to populate us to the various sites, neighbors and friends, chat. You want to do political forum? We'll do political forum. I mentioned the governor's name, so we should do, political forum. So we'll get on all the local pages. So Ronnie is extraordinary getting that done. I cannot multitask. She can. So she's got that skill set advantage.
Actually, I'm a terrible multitasker, but I'm pretending that I'm paying attention to you and I'm doing something else.
Well, you're doing a good job of pretending. So anyway, I'm sure there's a joke there, but it's probably not appropriate to our audience. We are a family-oriented show, and we want to keep it family-oriented. So we're going to talk a little bit about the weather. The big news really is that it's looking less and less like a major winter event. The latest readings that came in, and I'll cover this again when Ronnie says we're live everywhere. But
we're live everywhere.
We are? You got it done that quick?
Yeah, I'm fast.
Holy crap. Wow. See if she ignores me. She gets stuff done. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the weather. But just in the last, we were going to do this like a half hour ago, and I got sidetracked, and it's a good thing I did because NWS just downgraded our area to a winter weather advisory. We've been under winter storm warning since probably last night through like Wednesday morning, some inordinate amount of time. And now they've just changed it. Winter weather advisory. The real thing is it's so hard to get cold air in here in March. And that's what we saw the other day, where it actually snowed a reasonable amount, but it just didn't get going strong enough to accumulate because the ground temperatures were so warm. So, Ronnie, I'm going to turn off our cameras and I'm going to put a couple of visuals into the stream here. So hopefully you can still hear me. Do you hear me still?
I can still hear you.
Okay, good. I didn't do anything wrong then. That's a good sign. So I like using this Weather Street stuff because it's just, in terms of the illustration, is just really good. So this is Weather Street, just to give proper credit. And it's a great source. You can just find it yourself. It's a free website, weatherstreet.com. And this is what we're looking at right now. We've got the systems redeveloping off of we'll call it the Carolinas. I just want to make sure I got my states right there. Yeah, I guess northern North Carolina and northern North Carolina, southern North Carolina, and northern South Carolina. I think I have it right. So no.
Actually, it looks more like Virginia and
it is, and North Carolina. Yeah, it's Virginia and North Carolina. I'm looking and getting myself confused here. Thank you, Ronnie. So the system's just going through that process right now. That's literally real time. I pulled this map an hour ago, which is why it's backdated a little bit. Storm's going to increase in strength rapidly. It's going to move north and east. Now, yesterday, when I went through this, at this time, it was showing already pretty much being in our area. So it's a little bit further east of Cape Cod. And then you see it kind of hooks around. We'll go back. So during the day Tuesday. So that's why you've heard everybody talking about if the snow gets going, it's going to get going during the day Tuesday, because that hook around, it's going to allow cold air to come down. And that's what the conventional thinking was. I should probably refresh this because we have later data. So I'm going to refresh. So let's go back to Tuesday there we go. So we have that hook around and pretty tightly wound, not quite as strong as they forecast. So again, it's not as strong. You can't quite throw the snow back, bring down the cold that they thought it could. Yesterday, this was showing 970 millibars, which was like 29.75 inches of mercury. This is more like 29.85, roughly, maybe even a little higher than that. I'm
not sure what that means, but is that why I've had a migraine headache all day?
Yes, very much. It's really funny. I was going to bring that up, Ronnie, because you mentioned it, and a couple of other people have mentioned that they're feeling this one. And when you get that intensification, people say they can feel it, headache, knee ache, backache with the weather. So I don't think that's unusual at all. So my real concern at this point is winds, and particularly winds east of us, and coastal flooding, particularly east of us. With the low located off of, if you look at it, basically over Boston, you got to remember it's a counterclockwise rotation. I'll try. So you've got the water's going to be kind of pushed out. So the north shore of Long Island will probably see some coastal flooding. But what I'm really worried about is the areas north of Boston and the areas north, and then anything north facing. I mean, they're just going to get pounded. 50, 60 mile an hour winds. There's going to be widespread blackouts. And then the other thing I'm worried about, not for our area, is areas that do get snow. It's going to be incredibly heavy snow, really wet, really heavy snow, many multiples heavier than a fluffy snowstorm, say if it were 30 or 28 degrees. And that's going to bring down power lines, going to bring down branches. I think those areas are going to have really bad damage, certainly to the power grid from this storm. So those are the two things I'm worried about. Our area, I know this map is showing snow and ice. We're not going to have ice. It's just not going to be cold enough at the ground level to have ice. It's just not going to be cold enough. I've said all along on this one, ice is off the table. But if we, and I'll get into the conversation we had with John Phillips earlier. John was not available to come on the show, but I'll get into that in a minute. But right now we look for snowfall rates over a certain amount per hour where it can accumulate in an environment where it's 37 or 38 degrees at the ground level. We saw that firsthand the other day. It was snowing. It didn't accumulate at all. But we did speak with John Phillips. He's going to have crews out tonight spotting things just to make sure that there's no surprises, that the storm doesn't track a little bit west and bring a little bit of extra cold air down. He's going to be watching things tomorrow. They've got the trucks all ready to go. I said this yesterday. I say it again. We're in really, really good hands. But he and I were comparing some data when we spoke earlier, and basically he talked about how when you can get snow up to 42, 43, even 44 degrees if the air above is cold enough. But for it to accumulate, you've got to get incredible snowfall rates and, an inch an hour or more. Anything under an inch an hour just melts on contact. And it just, maybe you get some on the grassy surfaces, but the roads and sidewalks should be fine. So a lot.
Now John has called for a parking ban. So just to clarify,
Yeah.
I asked him about that, and he said he needs it just in case.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't look like it's going to materialize, he'll call it off. But as of right now, it goes
into
effect.
Did he give you hours, Ronnie?
So it goes into effect at midnight.
Okay, tonight through what, Wednesday morning?
Yeah, tonight at midnight. I don't think there's an end to it. They usually will just call it off once they don't need it anymore. So it's until further notice. But
okay,
I think he'll know at some point tomorrow whether or not it's actually going to be needed. But just in case anything happens overnight tonight, he wants to have the mechanism in place for that, for the roads to be clear for plows.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. He, again, better to be safe than sorry. And this town the town management's doing a great job at doing just that. So just keep an eye on things. The other big question I'm getting asked by everybody is schools. My answer had been really Wednesday. I think will be very dependent on Tuesday, depending on how bad things are Tuesday. But I think, I don't see, unless the winds concern the powers that be enough, I just don't think they're going to be strong enough here. We're going to feel them, believe me, and they're going to last 24 hours, but it's not going to be like, I don't know, Ronnie, I think it was in January where they called school because of the winds, where trees were coming down. It's not going to be like that. We're not going to have that squally type winds. It's just going to be some strong, from northeasterly breezes, winds, 40, 45 miles an hour in our area. East of here, I think, is a concern. And then power outages for our area, I hope, will be much more sporadic than what I think north of Boston and well north of us and maybe northwest of us is going to see, again, due to the milder temps down at ground level. So a lot of talk about this storm, but it looking like we're going to dodge, which has been the story of the season, of the winter. We're going to dodge another big snow event. This would have been a bad one if we didn't dodge it, but got to keep an eye. We got this pesky high out here. It's sitting there. He's pumping down cold. Can he get enough cold air into our area? I just, just like I said yesterday, just keep an eye, and that's the approach the town's taking. They're going to have spotters out tonight. They're going to have spotters out tomorrow, and any change in conditions are going to be on top of it. So I had other slides, Ronnie, but honestly, I'm not going to show them because they've downgraded everything. So really, in fact, I'm closing out that slide right now. This is really it. Tuesday at 8. I think if we have snow, it will be highest risk between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. tomorrow, if we have snow. And then the storm starts to pull away pretty quickly. And then the unfortunate thing is there's not a whole lot of mild air behind it. So we're just gonna, we're kind of, just like February, we were in a real mild pattern relative to norms. March, we're in a real cold pattern, and there's just no sign of it breaking. There is signs that there could be another real big storm. And I'm trusting the longer range stuff a little bit more. And again, I'm not calling rain or snow, but here, we'll put us back up here and we'll get rid of that. So, there are long range maps are showing something happening on the 23rd, whether it could be another nor'easter, whether it could be a snow event. But as each day goes by and we add those minutes each day to the amount of daylight, it's just harder and harder to get a really major snowstorm. But
Good.
2020, we got snow on May 19th, which is only the second time in my life I've ever seen a flake of snow in May. And the other time was in New Hampshire. So it can happen, and it was just flurries, but it was snow in May, which was stunning to me. I'd never seen that before. So.
Well, I think it was the day my kids both had their virtual graduation from UConn.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's I think your kids graduated the day before mine, because I was home and I was down in Bridgeport. I remember I saw it in Bridgeport. I was really shocked that we were getting snow.
We're like, what else could happen in 2020? Both
Right.
kids lost their actual graduation and all the, pomp and circumstance that went along with that. And they toasted with bottles of Corona in our living room in front of the TV where their names scrolled, and outside it was snowing.
It was very exciting watching the name scroll. I remember that. Yep. It was very, very exciting. So,
so I have a very important question. I have this mug that says "Bah Humbug" on it.
Yes.
Should I take that out tomorrow morning for my morning coffee?
Well, are we trying to ward away the snow or invite the snow in? What are we trying to accomplish?
We're just trying to provide commentary on how disgusting the weather is.
I know. Well, you know what? It's really funny. It hasn't been a bad winter for temps or for rain/snow. But it's been really cloudy. Like it's been a Seattle winter. It's been cloudy.
Yeah, and, raw and kind of dank and
My wife's yelling at me because I haven't been taking my daily walk because I don't like to walk when it's 39 degrees and clammy out. I don't like to do that. So, so I would say take it out if you don't want snow. Put it away if you want snow. You have to use reverse psychology.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
And then
the
before we sign off, I'm going to look and see if we have any news, any Aaron Rodgers, because I led with this, Ronnie, while you were populating. I'm looking to see if we have any news on Aaron Rodgers, and it appears we do not have any Aaron Rodgers news at this point. So everyone's freaking out over nothing this afternoon. One person tweeted that it was a done deal, and everybody went bananas, but it looks like the person had wrong. Trey Wingo, whoever that is, said it was a done deal. So I don't know who Trey Wingo is, but apparently people listen to him. So maybe they'll stop after this. So I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'm talking about somebody I don't even know who they are. So anyway, but any last questions? We covered the town. We covered John Phillips, and he's on top of everything. Any last questions about the weather before we sign off?
No, I don't think so. I'll have an article out if there's anything to report. As of right now, parking ban at midnight, but Monday night, overnight, there's probably not a lot of people out and about and partying in the center. We got a comment here. I'm a Lions fan. Couldn't care less about Rodgers.
Thank you, Eric. There we go. I like the Lions. I just think they finally like this year. If they hadn't lost that one game, I'm trying to remember who they lost to. Was it against Jacksonville? I guess. If only. Okay, yeah. Trey, I knew Trey was with ESPN at one point. I'm not sure who he's with now, but yeah, the Lions. I think the game against Jacksonville, if they'd won that game, they were in the playoffs. That would have been quite the run because they won 6 or 7 straight at the end of the season to get there. But they have. They're going to be a good team, Trey. I mean, Eric, I think you're going to be happy next year. I think they're a pretty good team. They've they're firing on all cylinders at this point. So anyway, all right, enough with the sports, enough with the weather. We'll pass it off to somebody to do traffic now, and we'll be all set. So anyway, all right, we'll jump on if anything changes. If anything, oh, it was Carolina. Okay. If anything changes, we'll do an update tomorrow. But otherwise, hopefully, we just kind of navigate this, and maybe we'll be talking next week about the storm on the 23rd. So,
or springtime and
Yeah.
flowers,
yeah,
butterflies, rainbows.
It's going to be April. We're in a cold pattern. It's that whole blocker reversed that I talked about a few months ago. But hopefully, we'll get there. So, all right, Ronnie,
All
I'll
right.
talk to you later. To everyone watching, all one of you, thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and maybe we'll see you tomorrow, depending on the weather. Take care.
All right. Good day. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.